as you get older, you quickly come to terms with, I don't know if you ever come to terms with mortality, but you come to terms with training smarter, actually. That's what I'm trying to say, is not to sound so morbid and depressing, but the positive spin on all of this is that less is more as you get older. And I tend to, after my hernia surgery in 2021, you can check out my playlist. There's an entire playlist and a long story about that journey. It forced me into training smarter. And I wouldn't even necessarily say it limited me. Hernia surgery was a blessing in disguise. And honestly, I was so in tune with ego lifting, showing off. And I think when you're a little bit younger and you see results really quickly, you tend to kind of get ahead of yourself sometimes, you know. I've mentioned this before, but just lifting an insane amount of weight did not necessarily make my chest bigger. Curling an insane amount of barbells did not make my arms necessarily that much more jacked. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this right here, and I take zero TRT, no HGH, nothing like, no growth hormones, nothing like. Like I said, I'm scared shitless to put any kind of needles or anything like that in my body. I totally believe and adhere to the natural lifestyle, right, and holistic training. I am about 156 pounds, which is my best weight, my college weight. I would even say I'm a little underweight, and I should probably put on a few more pounds, at least hit the 160 mark. And that can be achieved not through training, but just through nutrition. But just going back to my earlier point about complicating fitness journey, a lot of this is so simple. It can be as easy as changing your daily habits, right? And how you choose to spend your time and how you invest your time, right? I mean, take for example the lifestyle you have and building in small workouts. But I honestly think 80 to 90%, not even I think, I know, I've tried this, it's true and tested, and I'm not a bodybuilder, but a lot of this is really essentially your diet, nutrition, having a sound nutrition plan. Here's the thing, there's people have asked me, what's your diet, what's the secret? I think there's no secret. You have to sort of do what works for you. The best diet is whatever works for you and the results you see in the mirror. Okay, you're gonna have to be honest with yourself in your fitness journey, right? So some people like coaches, some people like to be held accountable, right? Some people like the group training and accountability by the team, accountability coaches being called out, right? And I totally understand, because I was there once as well. But of course, I'm advanced in my training today at the age of 49, and I've done a few things right to get to this point. And I've been at many extremes of this journey of lifting egotistically, lifting insane amounts of weight, right? And then I got my surgery, and I realized that I still could get in the best shape of my life without lifting all that insane amounts of weight. And I actually got in way better shape. In fact, I would argue I'm in the best shape of my life today versus, pre-surgery. And a lot of this was, I think it just was a lifestyle I was already locked into. The surgery just made me lock into a smarter way about approaching this lifestyle, right? You want this lifestyle, honestly, to be sustainable in some ways, right? Make it enjoyable. It doesn't have to be painful, right? As a matter of fact, what I'm doing right now is, I think, one of the best exercises you can give and provide to your entire body, which is the simplicities of just walking. And I talk ad nauseum on this channel, right, on the benefits of walking, and here I am. I've been MIA for 3 days, just taking some downtime. Memorial Day weekend, I didn't party as much. Obviously, I'm waiting for the tourists in Las Vegas to subside. I don't like the crowded areas and how packed it gets, which is why, Tuesday, tomorrow, I'm gonna hit the strip maybe, and it's never empty on the strip, but it'll be a good day for the post-tourist, right, to get out and take advantage of the city I live in, Las Vegas, right? And so obviously it's hot right now, but the heat has been contained, sunset, so here I am taking my steps, getting my steps in. And a lot of this is really choice, right? I did some training by way of resistance training in my place, as you probably saw in my videos. I have a home gym, and it doesn't take a whole lot for me to get the pump and be on my way. a good 30 to 40 minutes of weight resistance training, even body weight exercises, can bode really well for your body, and it's less strenuous. The recovery time is better, right? As a matter of fact, I can do push-ups every single day personally without any pain, any soreness, any aches and nicks and tucks. I can do pull-ups every other day. You can do free hand squats, or you can do light barbell squats. Again, whatever works for you, double, triple down on that. And diet is going to be your make or break as far as the results go, and enhancing that, and getting the best bang for your buck. Because the last thing you want to do, guys, is try to out-train really a bad diet. I don't necessarily track my calories anymore because I'm so locked in to how I used to track, and I've seen the changes in my body. So I know how to adjust my macronutrients. And so these macronutrients are your carbs, your proteins, and your fats, right? You have to play with this as you get advanced. At the core of all of this is that essentially you want to keep the protein as high as you can, right? Typically the general rule of thumb is 1 gram per pound per body weight. So if you're like 160 pounds, try to get at least 1 gram equivalent to that. So that would be 160 grams of protein. Right about there is good enough. If you want to go more than that, please, that's up to you. If you get better results, try it and see what works for you. Then if you're training hard with resistance and weight, right, you want to keep carbs moderately up there and keep your fats lower. If you're someone that needs that fuel, right, keep your carbs moderately high, anywhere between 150 to 200, 250, 300 even, and adjust that, right? MyFitnessPal seems to be the money tracker when it comes to tracking your macros, and if you want to get into that, right? And that's how I learned the nutrient values and caloric intake, right? Because you need to get in tune. The basic math of all of this is, right, 4 calories in 1 gram of carb, right? 4 calories, 1 gram of protein, 9 calories in 1 gram of fat, right? Now you take that and multiply it, times 4 times 9 will give you your caloric number. So you can easily see how this number adds up. And the rule of thumb is you times it by 10, maybe 9 or 10, that number, right, for a fat loss. So you take your body weight, let's just say 140 pounds, 150 pounds, 160 pounds, times it by 10. That'll give you about 1,400 to 1,600 calories. That's what you need to cut it, right, to get to your desired physique. And then if you want to gain, right, or if you want to go medium, you times it by 11, even 12. But if you want to gain, you obviously up that by 13, 14, right, and you get to your mark. But MyFitnessPal will help you get to your desired numbers, guys. As far as my fats go, that can vary as well. On a high carb, high protein, I keep my fats low, but on a high fat diet, I keep my protein high, but my carbs low. So if that makes sense. And a lot of this comes down to how you want to manage, right? What you feel, you have to go with how your body feels, right? And no diet, in my opinion, is forever sustainable. You have to change up things. Your body will adapt as well over time. So I'll give you an example. I do intermittent fasting every single day, almost by default now. I really don't need breakfast in the morning. I don't have craving for it. And that's my secret sauce. That's what sets my day, right? That's what gets me going, right? I don't have that brain fog. I don't have the hunger. I can control it. And in that way, it allows me to thrive on maybe 2 giant meals, maybe a light snack in between. But generally speaking, I do 2 meals a day. And that's really it. That's my protocol. A lot of this is heavy protein and high fats. That's typically it. I keep my carbs low because I don't lift a whole lot heavy. But I'm going to make a video about something new that I've uncovered, right, as of lately, that could help me push the barriers on my physique without straining my body and without going into extreme deficit. There's something called a sugar diet, and I've just stumbled across this recently, and I want to talk about it a little bit more on another topic. But guys, my endurance is a combination of sprinting. So I do sprints for fast twitch muscle fibers. right? Engaging that, because if you don't use it, you lose it, right? And there are other drills in my life that's come into fruition at an older age that helped me sustain this life. Even though I'm an older man, I'm living the life of a young man's life, and I'm able to move and exert myself as I feel like, honestly, 25 years old. So these are so stretching martial arts, right? Soccer drills. I've done gymnastics for 2 years. All of these matter. All of these, like, you don't want to just keep lifting and not be able to move that mass, right? I'm a big proponent of that. Is you got to be able to move yourself, stretch, be mobile, agility, right? All of these things in moderation is very important. It's very important for you to be able to move your mass in this way. So this is why I say to you and to myself, remind myself, is that you want to diversify, you want to change up things. Don't just do strength training and skip endurance, skip the stretching, right? Skip your walks, right? You got to get in your nutrition, like your water, for example, water intake, right? For me, I thrive off a gallon of water every single day, and that's like 16 cups. So if you think about it, it's not a whole lot, really. 16 cups goes by really quickly. I can typically knock out maybe 5-6 cups before midday. So that also keeps my skin hydrated, gives you a youthful appearance, and keeps things moving in your system. Okay? So I think it was just good for me to revisit fitness, some of my protocols as an older man. But then again, this is not rocket science. A lot of this information can be found on YouTube in the community. I've just done this over time. I've also been on the other end of the spectrum, weighing in at my heaviest, nearly 200 pounds at once upon a time. A lot of that was alcohol weight. And on the last note, alcohol is a big one, guys. That's gonna really screw you up when it comes to, managing your diet, because it's not so much the alcohol itself. I mean, it's not really good for you, but it's the after effects of what happens, right? It doesn't matter how old you are. I guess if you're in your 20s, your recovery is a whole lot different versus your 30s, 40s, and 50s, right? But the worst effect of alcohol is what happens for a few days is like you tend to go on a binge eating spree, and your body wants all the grease and all just the junk, right? And so you automatically put on not just the water weight, but you also put on extra weight due to all the junk you consume after a great night, a fun night of just heavy drinking. And then, of course, lack of sleep, right? Hormonally, there's shifts in your body, and a bad night or two like that can really set you back months, right? That's really the formula of keeping fitness simple as simple can be. Okay, I'm gonna jump to the next topic. I'm back on track again, doing my steps, feeling really good about nature, and kind of walking out of a mental fog today. Okay, catch you on the next one, guys. I'm out.